morning, Carly and Todd. So today, President Trump is thanking the president of El Salvador. The country's leader posted this video on X showing what he said were more than 200 Tren de Aragua members arriving in El Salvador over the weekend. He says they were transferred to a terrorism confinement center for 1 year. A senior Trump administration official tells our Bill Malugin 261 illegal aliens were deported to El Salvador on Saturday. Of those, 137 were removed via the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. This wartime authority gives the president the power to deport non-citizens without a judicial hearing. The act has only been invoked 3 other times in American history. On Saturday, a federal judge ordered the Trump administration to stop the deportations to see if its invocation was legal. But the White House says 2 planes carrying alleged Venezuelan gang members were already in international airspace when the judge's ruling came down, so they argue they did not defy a court order. The president is justifying the use of the act.
These were bad people. That was a bad group of, as I say, operators. Well, this is a time of war because Biden allowed millions of people, many of them criminals, many of them at the highest level. They emptied jails out. Other nations emptied their jails into the United States. That's an invasion.
President Trump also says his teams have been busy over the weekend trying to narrow the gaps between Ukraine and Russia. And he says a lot of progress has been made, leading to a potential conversation with Russian President Vladimir Putin as soon as tomorrow.
I'll be speaking to President Putin on Tuesday. A lot of work's been done over the weekend. We want to see if we can bring that war to an end. Maybe we can, maybe we can't, but I think we have a very good chance.
I'm not going back to Haiti.
Yes, you are.
I'm not going back to Haiti. Did you see that? Did you see the Easter egg buried deep inside of this beautiful St. Patrick's Day meme, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the show. Today is Monday, March 17th, 2025. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you. Activist judge attempts to stop Trump from deportating criminal gang members. Deportating, ladies and gentlemen, is what you say when the judge didn't get his way. In fact, the flights landed, and they landed in a very special location. We're going to talk all about it on the show. Trump says Biden's autopen pardons are now void and vacant and have no further force or effect. Vows probe of January 6th House Select Committee. Get ready. We're going to cover that off the top. D.C. in literal panic right now. Lauren Boebert and Mike Davis will be joining the show. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Ladies and gentlemen, this golden era, your pot of gold on this St. Patrick's Day should come from my friends at Advantage Gold. When you are looking for something to make your life a little more leprechaun-y, when you're looking for something to invest in that will stand the test of time, ladies and gentlemen, dance a little Irish jig on down to my friends at Advantage Gold. Advantage Gold can help you make sure that you are protecting your investments and make sure that you are locked in for the golden era as the economy resets. Let's just call it what it is, right? There's been ups, there's been downs. We're going to have to work out some of the demons. Ladies and gentlemen, go gold today. Join the Advantage Gold Summit and me on March 27th, 7 p.m. Eastern for the Gold and Silver Summit, where we learn how to build strategic wealth, reserve, and physical precious metals. If you're looking for real-time, time-tested ways to safeguard your assets, you can't afford to miss it. Also, they're giving away up to $100,000 in free silver. Each person can claim up to $1,000 in free silver plus $300 in bonuses. If you qualify, you must attend the live event. Learn how to now. Secure your spot at Advantage Gold Summit. Text Benny to 85545. That's Benny to 85545. Don't wait For the next crisis to hit, text Benny to 85545 right now. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, a quick announcement. Dan Bongino is your new deputy director of the FBI. This may or may not be an actual photo that we took this morning atop the FBI building in Washington, D.C. We often on this program say D.C. in panic. This is literally D.C. in panic. Dan Bongino is officially sworn in today, Junior. Dan Bongino, somebody who's an absolute legend in this business, somebody who's done great work inside and outside. I mean, I've been able to see Dan operate behind the scenes for a very long time, and he's been a bit of a mentor to me, and we're so proud of him. We were just at the DOJ on Friday, and we were there in the front row with Kash Patel and with Pam Bondi, with Michael Flynn. And ladies and gentlemen, we are so proud of Dan joining that incredible team. It just, you look around, you're like, can this get any better? Leo Terrell is standing right there. And you realize that Dan Bongino has been preparing his entire life for this. And so we say, God bless you, Dan Bongino. Godspeed. We look forward to having Dan on the show. We've already reached out, but he's going to get his sea legs under him. And we look forward to seeing a great deal of productivity. We also have some interesting updates from President Trump on the Epstein list. We'll get to that in just a second. It is St. Patrick's Day. My children are half Irish. So here they are, ladies. This is a photo we took on our way into the studio this morning. This is missing my youngest, Whitaker, but that's Theodore and Eloise and Juliet. And they are all smiling in their shamrock dresses. Theodore's got a little shirt on that says Lucky. My wife is Irish, and so I guess that makes them half Irish. I'm like German and English, kind of like a European mutt. But there you go. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you. Also breaking at the White House, Conor McGregor is right now giving a press conference. It's not live, sadly, but we do have clips of Conor McGregor standing at the White House dais, answering a few questions, and talking a little bit about criminal illegal immigration. Conor McGregor erupts on the White House podium. Check this out.
It is a travesty. Our government is the government of zero action with zero accountability. You know, our money is being spent on overseas issues that has nothing to do with the Irish people. The illegal immigration racket is running ravage on the country. There are rural towns in Ireland that have been overrun in one swoop, that have become a minority in one swoop. So issues need to be addressed, and the 40 million Irish Americans, as I said, need to hear this, because if not, there will be no place to come home and visit.
Let me quote here. Illegal immigration is out of control. Towns have been completely overrun. Where the Irish are becoming a minority, there will be no homeland. Spoken like a guy who's probably going to run for president of Ireland, right? Like, is this what we're looking for? There's photos of him with Carolyn Levitt, and there's also a hype video that the White House just posted of Conor McGregor walking through the halls of the White House. Let's go to that.
Happy Paddy's Day, America!
Looking very leprechaun-y, actually. Looking very, this is the official White House post, and he even gets a door opening for him. Conor McGregor, of course, arguably the most famous man from Ireland walking the earth right now, has been teasing that he'd like to be the Donald Trump of Ireland. And boy, St. Patrick's Day would be a great day to announce that. Allegedly, he's supposed to have some type of event with Donald Trump. There is going to be a press conference today, so why not tune in live for that? Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, the news of the morning is a post from President Trump early this morning about the autopen scandal. Now, this is something that we've been covering for quite a while on the program, but it is something that President Trump has really focused in on as of late. Now, of course, our show is very biased towards telling the news in memes, and so let's begin with the meme that President Trump posted. That really gets to the heart of the issue here. Donald Trump, with the wall of presidents over the last decade and a half, here we go, 2017, you have President Trump in his first term. As, of course, before Donald Trump went mugshot chic, Donald Trump, 2025 to president, what happened in between was a robotic pen. If you're unfamiliar with this scandal, what is happening here is there's a full-scale investigation that has found that Joe Biden did not sign any documents in his presidency. This raises some major constitutional questions that we'll get to in just a moment, but how did it happen? There's a system called autopen that effectively inputs a signature and then allows for that signature to be placed on any document that's fed into the machine. And what the oversight investigative group found was that this autopen has been used time and time and time again to effectively sign executive orders, laws, pardons, commutations. You'll note that when you place a signature on a piece of paper, it's similar. And it typically follows the same junctures, right? The ups and the downs and the swoops and the letters. You can identify people's handwriting. But there's no two signatures that they're the exact same. Go ahead and check your checkbook or wherever you sign documents. We have a member of our staff who's currently buying a house, signing a lot of documents. Your signatures are never exactly a match. They never do what's happening right now on your screen, where they completely overlay perfectly all together. That never happens. So what's going on here exactly? What's happening? What scholars are saying, doing this research, is that Joe Biden clearly didn't know that he was signing various documents, incredibly important documents from his administration. Now, this, of course, comes as no surprise to any of us who've watched Joe Biden in his fake White House, watched Joe Biden get dolted around the stage by Jill. Watch Joe Biden. Grab me that clip. I want that clip of Joe Biden, his final cabinet meeting where Jill Biden took over. Get me that. That and Joe Biden in the fake White House. The entire administration was like a practice in humiliation to the American public and the American people. Joe Biden getting led around by the nose and being inside of a fake White House for the, why wouldn't you just use the Resolute desk inside of the Oval Office, the most powerful office in the world? There are various seats of power all throughout the globe. There's the Reichstag, there's Buckingham Palace, there's Kremlin, there's various parliaments and congressional buildings all throughout the planet. But nothing holds the kind of power that the Oval Office has, and they never let Joe Biden use it. What does that say about who Joe Biden was? What does it say about this system? Do you have the fake Oval Office? Yeah, okay, all right. What does it say about him? And when we were live a couple weeks ago when Joe Biden was giving Donald Trump was giving a cabinet meeting. First one. And it was like a 3.5 hour extemporaneous romp. It was really fun to watch. It was very entertaining. Elon Musk kind of took over half of it, and then he went through, and you have all these cabinet secretaries, and everyone's jousting and gesticulating, and JD Vance jumps in there, and RFK jumps in there. But like, what's with Joe Biden's cabinet meetings? Like, what's going on with these? No, not that clip. No, not that clip. I want the clip of Joe Biden, not that one. I want the one of Joe Biden throwing to Jill. We need to have Joe Biden's like opening responses, because you have to understand like what we've all been through. Here's Joe Biden at the fake Resolute desk. It's like a teeny Fisher-Price desk. They did this to humiliate him. They did this to humiliate our country. And they wanted you to know. They wanted you to know that he wasn't really president. And now it seems like we have the proof. So this is the autopen scandal. Let me know, Klein, when we have that full. I want just that full clip of Joe Biden. It's hard to believe that it's real. I know that we posted it on X. It's hard to believe that it was actually real, that we lived through this. Joe Biden at his cabinet meeting. But, oh, there it is. Okay. Okay. Before we move on, I just want to let you, here was the state of Joe Biden at the very end all right? This is particularly bad. We are cherry picking here because we're choosing the very end of whatever you want to call his hospice residency at the White House. But check this out. Like, does this seem like a guy in his right mind? Go.
Jill is here today. Heard that clapping. It wasn't for me when we came in. Here across previous administration, First Ladies have attended these meetings for specific reasons. This is the first time Jill has joined us, and it goes to show how important the issue is, which she's about to speak to the both of us. Today, at the top of our meeting, Jill's going to give an update on the House initiative, White House initiative, to fundamentally change the approach and the fund, how we approach and fund women's health services. So I'd like to turn it over to Jill and for any comments she has, and it's all yours, kid.
Thank you. You know, sometimes the White House surprises you.
And then Jill Biden takes over the entire meeting. It seems like it's important to establish what we've all lived through, like what we all just went through. That was considered the president of the United States. This man who can barely read off his note cards and then tosses to his wife out of desperation, who clearly doesn't know where he is, and most importantly, where he's signing documents. Check this out from the Oversight Project that discovered this. Biden autopen pardons on vacation. Who's behind this autopen on 12/30 of 2022 that pardoned 6 criminals with the exact same autopen signature while Joe Biden was vacationing and golfing in the U.S. Virgin Islands, so he wasn't even stateside. He was hundreds of miles off our coast. Note, they all say they are signed in the city of Washington. Our autopen investigation continues. What the hell is this? So let's click through. There it is. That's the autopen signature. These are the commutations there and the pardons for dangerous criminals. Here's a photo of Joe Biden taken on the exact same day, golfing at the Buccaneer in Christiansted, U.S. Virgin Islands, December 30th, 2022. Here he is, golfing. He was not signing or doing anything, and every single one of the signatures say signed in Washington, D.C., and every signature was an exact match. So at what point do you ask the question, do these withstand legal scrutiny? Are they real? We just lived through a fake presidency. This was all being fed into a document signing machine. Joe Biden had no idea. And if he has no idea that he's doing it, then clearly the Constitution says they're not valid. This is a real scandal. It seems like Donald Trump is very much looking forward to getting to the bottom of it. Here we go. The post that broke the internet this morning. The pardons that sleepy Joe Biden gave to the Unselect Committee for Political Thugs and many others are hereby declared void, vacant, and of no further force or effect because of the fact that they were done by autopen. In other words, Joe Biden did not sign them, but more importantly, he did not know anything about them. The unnecessary pardoning of documents were explained to or approved by Biden. He knew nothing about them, and the people that did may have committed a serious crime. Therefore, those in the Unselect Committee, those who destroyed and deleted all evidence they obtained during their 2-year witch hunt of me, and many other innocent people, should fully understand that they are subject to the investigation at the highest level. The fact is, they are probably responsible for the documents that were signed on behalf, without knowledge or consent, of the worst president in history of the country, crooked Joe Biden. This is particularly dangerous for a number of individuals who were pardoned. It seems like President Trump is getting at the pardons that were issued in the last seconds of Joe Biden's residency at the White House. Those pardons would include Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, and Dr. Fauci, along with his family. So what happens next? Well, Donald Trump was at the Department of Justice on Friday. We were honored to be there. We have that little interview with Mike Flynn. I'd love to pop that one up because Mike Flynn is sounding off on this today. Donald Trump at the Department of Justice saying, we got real problems here, and these aren't legal, and we're going to investigate and find out. Let's go.
we have thousands of murderers, that Biden and his incompetency, first of all, he's grossly incompetent, but that Biden and his people and his probably autopen, it looked like we had an autopen for a president, and we would have been better off if we had probably. But it looks to me like, that's a big subject. I'm sure you won't ask about that, but the whole subject of autopen, did he know what he was doing? Did he authorize it? Or is this somebody in an office, maybe a radical left lunatic, just signing whatever that person wants? That's not what it's all about. I never use it. I mean, we may use it as an example to send some young person a letter. It's nice, we get thousands and thousands of letters and letters of support for young people, for people that aren't feeling well, etc. But to sign pardons and all of the things that he signed with an autopen is disgraceful.
Ladies and gentlemen, got my clips out of order. That was President Trump this morning on Air Force One, talking about the autopen as a rejoinder to that post on Truth Social, and then also at what he said at the Department of Justice this past week. Again, we were there listening to this, and it was pretty chilling. I say, you're getting into very unique waters here. I look forward to talking to Mike Davis about it. Where exactly do you draw the line? What is constitutional? How would you know if Joe Biden actually signed these documents? If he even knew about them? I guess you have to call him in. You have to ask him under oath. And the Department of Justice has already ruled on that in the Hur report, saying that Joe Biden is not competent. He's not cognitively capable, which is crazy. Here we go.
Crooked Joe Biden got us into a real mess with Russia and everything else he did, frankly, but he didn't know about it, and he, generally speaking, signed it with autopen. So how would he know? That autopen is a big deal. I don't know. They're having who's doing this. So when my people come up, Will and all of the people, Steve, they come up and, sir, this is an executive order. They explain it to me, and 90% of the time I sign it. 99% of the time I say do it, but they come up and I sign it. But you don't use autopen. It's number one, it's disrespectful to the office. Number two, maybe it's not even valid because. Who's getting him to sign? He had no idea what the hell he was doing. If he did, all of these bad things wouldn't be happening.
Insane. What happens next? That's a great question. What happens when you have a president that's non-compos matus? And we have a 25th Amendment that's set up for these things. But what about if the president didn't know who the hell he was or what was happening during his presidency, and there was a regime that was fraudulently signing things? I mean, consider this. Hunter Biden could have signed his own pardon inside the White House. He could have written and fed his own pardon into the machine. President Trump saying these executive orders and pardons are not legal, null and void, because Biden didn't have any idea that they were taking place. Here we go.
Are those executive orders, those pardons from the former president now null and void?
Well, I think so. It's not my decision. That'll be up to a court. But I would say that they're null and void because I'm sure Biden didn't have any idea that it was taking place. And somebody was using an autopen to sign off and to give pardons to, as an example, it's just one example, but the J6 Unselected Committee. They gave pardons with an autopen. I don't think Biden knew anything about it. And what they did is they deleted and destroyed all of the information that took them over a year to get.
So here's the proof of that. J6 Committee Vice Chairwoman Liz Cheney was communicating with witness Cassidy Hutchinson on an encrypted app Signal about her testimony without the knowledge of Hutchinson's attorney. Amazing. This is the individual that claimed that Donald Trump went berserker mode and charged the Secret Service, smashed through the bulletproof glass inside of the Secret Service limousine, grabbed the steering wheel, and drove himself to the U.S. Capitol during January 6th. This is Cassidy Hutchinson's testimony that changed the fourth time she sat before this committee. She worked for Mark Meadows at the White House. It changed because we have the receipts. Liz Cheney demanded she change it, demanded she lie, and then they destroyed the evidence in order to try and cover it up. You can see it here, how much they are communicating together. New texts reveal Liz Cheney communicated with Cassie Hutchinson about her select committee testimony without her attorney's knowledge, despite Cheney knowing it was unethical. And then she immediately changed her story. This is the report from the House Select Committee on January 6th. You can see here all of the documentation. At what point does Liz Cheney get forced to answer questions under oath about this? In her book, it would comprise of the Select Committee's investigation, advising witnesses and suggesting new legal representation, Cheney failed to acknowledge in her own book herself that she provided Hutchinson with a new attorney and with a new story. She provided that attorney pro bono, probably USAID money. Hutchinson told a conflicting story about Cheney's role in her legal representation. The entire story here is a mess. And we have the receipts. And they destroyed evidence, which is, of course, illegal. The January 6th committee has deleted records and hid evidence. January 6th committee allegedly promoted hearsay, and Cheney picked information to promote its political goal, according to Representative Loudermilk. They have a full-scale investigation that's been going on for 2 years now, and man, these I gotta tell you, man, I really look forward to getting Liz Cheney under oath. Adam Kinzinger is already stressed out about this. He's producing videos where I'm not sure if he's in tears just yet, but it sure seems like he's on the brink of crying. Here's Adam Kinzinger in his car responding to this morning. You can tell that they are quite scared. Here we go.
Saw that Trump is like threatening the January 6th committee again. Listen, this dude knows he
actually is on the verge of tears. You can see it right here. You can see that. You ever seen anyone who like can't show you the White House? You can see that he is actually on the verge of tears.
Threatening the January 6th committee again. Listen, this dude knows, he knows that this is like the thing that embarrasses him. He won't admit it embarrasses him because he's trying to like pretend like he didn't do anything. He's obsessed. He's more obsessed with like me and Liz Cheney than his freaking golf score. Hey, Trump, bring it on, dude. You weak, whiny, tiny man who, by the way, I saw a picture of you this weekend. You're hiking up your pants now to really just below your man boobs, and you're sweating so much. Like, looking pretty bad there. But bring it, man. Like, stop with all the big mouth talking stuff. You're a grown man. You don't talk like one, but you're a grown man. Come on, dude. Bring it.
Let me get that photo. Give me that photo of Donald Trump killing the leader of ISIS. Give me that photo that he's talking about there. This is an incredible picture of President Trump leaving the golf course in Florida to go to a skiff to go kill the leader of ISIS. This is what Adam Kinzinger is complaining about. This is him talking smack to Donald Trump. I don't think it's going to work out well. I don't think this will end well for Adam Kinzinger. So, right, this is President Trump, the commander-in-chief literally calling in the strike to kill the leader of ISIS. President Trump taking action against the Houthis and defend the U.S. shipping assets and deter terrorist threats. For too long, America's economic and national security threats were under assault by the Houthis, not under this presidency. Producers, do we have footage of the bombings? I think we had that from the weekend because I think I'm getting my terrorist bombings out of order. So yes, they attacked the Houthis and they also killed the leader of ISIS. There is a lot of fear over this, and I think there's good reason for it. This hits at the absolute heart of the question, which is, was Joe Biden a legitimate president? Did Joe Biden have the capacity to serve at all? We've been making that argument for a very long time. The answer is clearly no. Merrick Garland and Joe Biden's own DOJ found the answer to be no. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Beautiful. Here, this is the leader of ISIS getting smoked. Okay, this is the leader of ISIS in Afghanistan getting smoked right here. Just not wanting you to to deprive you of what President Trump would be watching on that screen as Adam Kinzinger makes fun of him and says, bring it on. F around and find out, man. Somebody who also effed around and got himself a pardon was Dr. Fauci. We've covered for an extended period of time, and there was new breaking news on all of this weekend, that everybody knew that COVID leaked from a lab. Somebody created that virus. Somebody paid for the creation of that virus, and that individual was Dr. Fauci. It's a pretty easy story if you trace it all back, but it goes like this. Dr. Fauci has been a barnacle in the federal government forever, since the 1970s. He's the longest serving bureaucrat, highest paid bureaucrat. The reason he's the highest paid bureaucrat was he was put in charge of the U.S. bioweapons program after September 11th in something called the Patriot Act, where he worked directly with the Pentagon and the CIA in order to create bioweapons. Dr. Fauci created bioweapons. He called it gain-of-function research, but he was literally just taking pathogens and making them deadlier and transmissible to human beings. Dr. Fauci had a bad record of those pathogens leaking from labs. Those labs were here in the United States of America. Barack Obama, to his strange credit, but credit where credit is due, banned Fauci from doing gain-of-function research because he kept having viruses leak. So there was a total ban on gain-of-function research here in the States. Dr. Fauci needed to continue his evil experimentation for whatever purpose, right? We now know the purpose. And so he brought that offshore. They went to Ukraine. They used the Biden family to get into Ukraine. They went to China, and they continued their gain-of-function research. The COVID virus itself, when you look at it molecularly, is impossible to have originated zoonotically, which is a fancy term for somebody, effed a pangolin. That was an official story, right? Like, they said that Donald Trump's saying racist for saying the China virus, but all these people said that COVID came from Chinese people eating bats. That's what they decided. That's the official story that they came up with, is that there were too many Chinese people walking around eating bats off the street. So leave it to you as to which one is more racist. So the bat-eating Chinese, they ate so many bats that they just created COVID. That's the official story. That's one story. The other story is that when you look at the COVID virus molecularly, you can see that there is a cleavage site where a spike protein was added, and that spike protein is what makes it transmissible to humans and deadly. That COVID virus, the original one, comes from the horseshoe bat that lives in Southeast China, high up in the caves. You have to go up and get the bats. They don't like human beings. They live far away from human beings. But they're natural repositories of the COVID virus. And you have to extract that virus, physically add a spike protein to make it deadly to human beings. And that's how you get COVID. Anybody who has like a basic function, I went to community college. Anybody who has like a baseline functioning of biologics, like that could just read a book, can find these things out. That COVID is impossible to have happened in a natural origin story. Now they covered this up. You'll remember that the CIA said, we don't know. Turns out that Dr. Fauci was bribing them. Whistleblowers say that the scientists at the CIA were bribed by Dr. Fauci to try and keep this down. Of course, COVID was released at the perfect time to destroy President Trump. President Trump was riding high. He was going to win re-election in a landslide. Donald Trump at full force, at full power against Joe Biden, give me a break. In 2020, please. It's all a joke. Of course, they rigged the primaries for Joe Biden and so on, but what they did was they destroyed Donald Trump's economy, and they did it from the inside. I've never spoken about this, but one of the scariest, creepiest things that ever happened to me was we were called into Secretary of State Mike Pompeo's office. Mike Pompeo, of course, of the CIA, right? Mike Pompeo had his security clearances stripped, his Secret Service taken away. Mike Pompeo of the CIA is sitting there in the State Department, and there's like a few reporters are called in. And so I get called in. I'm sitting there, with my phone. And Mike Pompeo, it was right when COVID was kind of hitting. And Pompeo tells this small group of journalists, we may have to shut down the country for a couple weeks. And everyone laughed because it was so insane. There's like, no way he could be telling the truth. They're like, this is obviously a joke, right? You're going to shut down the country for a couple weeks. That is exactly what they did. It was planned. I'm telling you, man, they had this planned. And they destroyed Trump's economy. They caused massive destabilization. They kept running those tickers with all the numbers. It was an op. It was an op run on Donald Trump. It was a deep state op run on Donald Trump. COVID was a bioweapon that we paid for, that they released to destroy Trump. And the they is Dr. Fauci. And how do I know this with such certitude? Because we have weaponized autism at this program. And that weaponized autism causes us to go through speeches and videos that nobody's ever watched and find little nuggets like this. Here's a nugget of Dr. Fauci. This is going to shock you if you haven't seen this footage. He's speaking at Georgetown. He's speaking to some stupid lunch. There's probably 50 people there. Nobody's paying attention. You can hear like the silverware clang and everyone eating their salads instead of listening to Dr. Fauci. And he says something that's so revealing about what he's about to do. Now, President Trump's about to be sworn into office the next day. They're doing this little luncheon, whatever, the next day. And listen to what Dr. Fauci has to say about the Trump term. Go.
Is that there is no question that there will be a challenge to the coming administration in the arena of infectious diseases, both chronic infectious diseases in the sense of already ongoing disease, and we have certainly a large burden of that, but also there will be a surprise outbreak. And
wait a second. You ever heard anybody in our federal health department ever speak like this? There's going to be a surprise outbreak. I can tell you with 100% certitude that there's going to be a surprise outbreak in the next administration, he says. I mean, certainly that would be cause for alarm if somebody in Dr. Fauci's position says that. How would you know? What are you doing? Why are you doing these things? After that surprise outbreak that Dr. Fauci promised with 100% certitude, he was dragged before Congress and he was asked about his gain of function by one member of Congress. That's it, by this experimentation. One. It's such a smoking gun, and there's only one guy smart enough to really ask about it. It's Rand Paul. And Rand Paul, who's himself, of course, a doctor, good doctor, not an evil doctor, says, you created COVID. You created the virus. You have a history of creating these mutant viruses and leaking them, and you did it again. Of course, we know that Rand Paul is now officially correct here. And for the first time ever, you've seen Dr. Fauci doing hundreds of thousands of interviews, documentaries, yipping and yapping all over the place. For the first time ever, you're going to see something. You're going to see Dr. Fauci shaking. Watch.
I want to understand that if you look at those viruses, and that's judged by qualified virologists and evolutionary biologists, those viruses are molecularly impossible to result in SARS-CoV-2.
Caused the pandemic. We're saying they are gain-of-function viruses because they were animal viruses that became more transmissible in human, and you funded it.
And you
admit the truth.
And you implying...
Senator Paul, your time has expired, and I will allow witnesses who come...
You've never seen it. Hundreds of thousands of hours of Dr. Fauci interviews, some of them kind, some of them not. You've never seen Fauci shake like that. They caught him. Rat's been caught. He got a pardon from Donald Trump. What? I'm sorry, he got a pardon from Joe Biden, correction. And it's Donald Trump saying that pardon is null and void. Why would you pardon Dr. Fauci? What admission of guilt? I mean, how much more can you admit to? He straight up says he's about to release a virus. He says it on camera he's about to release a virus during President Trump's administration. He promises it. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to get to our next story because I need to talk to Mike Davis about this. Amazing thing that happened over the weekend. But man, this autopen scandal, this ain't going anywhere. This is going to be very, very juicy and very, very interesting. And man, talk about effing around and finding out. They install Joe Biden. He's clearly, utterly, and totally non-compos matus. And they lied about it. And now they might not even be able to get their pardons. They might have everything overturned. We'll see how far this goes. Okay, here we go. White House blasts judge for attempting to halt deportation flights to El Salvador. No lawful basis. Oh, yeah, baby. This happened this weekend where a federal judge, said that flights carrying third world criminal rapists, terrorists, and gang members had to turn around in order to come back to America. So we must re-import criminal aliens who are dangerous murderers and rapists. Democrat judges are now ruling that they actually have to come back to America on their way out. Yeah, well, effed around and found out, this judge, his rulings don't apply over international waters. Turns out the planes were already on their way to El Salvador, and they landed, and we got rid of the criminal aliens. U.S. District Judge James Bossberg recently ordered an immediate stop to the deportation order to determine whether Trump's invocation of the 1798 Act, this is the Alien Enemies Act, was legal. But a Trump administration official told Fox News that the planes carrying the migrants had already left the United States airspace when the judge issued the order. In a statement to Fox News Sunday, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said the Trump administration did not refuse to comply with the court order. The order, which had no lawful basis, was issued after terrorist Tren de Aragua aliens had already been removed from the United States territory. Leavitt said, the written order and the administration's actions do not conflict. Moreover, as the Supreme Court has repeatedly made clear, federal courts generally have no jurisdiction over the president's conduct of foreign affairs, his authorities under the Alien Enemies Act, and core Article 2 powers to remove foreign alien terrorists from U.S. soil, and to repel an invasion, Caroline added. A single judge in a single city cannot direct the movements of an aircraft carrier full of foreign alien terrorists who is physically expelled from U.S. soil. That's obviously true. However, it is something that needs to be decided at the Supreme Court, I think, once and for all, and very, very definitively. Ladies and gentlemen, just to get you a little extra nugget of joy and happiness this morning, here are the flights landing in El Salvador. These criminal aliens being taken to the single harshest, most secure terrorist holding facilities on Earth. Okay. What will happen at the Supreme Court? Like, this is getting to the point of absurdity. It's getting to the point where it's quite dangerous. I saw a post yesterday morning. At what point will America be at war and a district judge in Washington, D.C. will be approving troop movements on the battlefield? Where's the end to judicial overreach into Article 2? Well, ladies and gentlemen, of course, the man behind the Article 3 project is joining the program right now to answer these important questions. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Davis. Mike, we have to re-import terrorists to America because a judge says so. Luckily, they didn't capture Osama bin Laden, because no doubt a judge would have released him right onto the streets of Manhattan. What the hell is going on here? It seems incredibly dangerous, but also really scary for our constitutional structure.
It is very dangerous and very dangerous for our constitutional structure. You're exactly right, Ben. President Trump campaigned on the facts that he's going to designate Tren de Aragua as a foreign terrorist organization, which President Trump did on Saturday. He's rounding up these terrorists. He put them on airplanes and he's sent them the hell out of our country, which he has the absolute rights and duty to do as the commander-in-chief under Article 2 of our Constitution. So not only does he have the statutory duty under this act from 250 years ago, he has the power under Article 2 of the Constitution as commander-in-chief. And you have
this pattern now where these Democrat operatives and attorneys run to these Democrat activist judges, and they're trying to sabotage the presidency. They're trying to sabotage President Trump because they got their asses kicked in the election on November 5th, 2024. So they don't have the House. They lost the Senate, where we have a comfortable margin supporting President Trump. President Trump has the White House. And so these activists are running to activist judges, and they're trying to sabotage the presidency with these clearly unlawful temporary restraining orders. And it started, Ben, with this Judge Ali, this new radical judge on the DC District Court who barely got confirmed. He's a Canadian citizen still as a federal judge. He bragged that he's the first Muslim, he's the first Arab federal DC judge. And he tried to tell the president that he had to send $2 billion in foreign aid over the president's objection when the president wanted to do a national security review to make sure there's not waste, fraud, and abuse, to make sure that we're not funding Hamas terrorists. And so he did that. And then here we are 2 weeks later, where this DC Obama judge, Jeb Boasberg, who is supposed to be the most moderate of the radicals, but he's still a radical. He's only 90% radical instead of 100% radical. And this judge on Saturday ran into his chambers and he moonlighted as the commander-in-chief because he thought he had the power to tell the president of the United States to turn around planes full of foreign terrorists and return them to the United States. Fortunately, this did not happen. President Trump will say there may have been a misunderstanding, but I hope President Trump said F you to Judge Boasberg, Bozo, the clown judge in DC, because this judge, what he was trying to order is the most dangerous thing imaginable, interfering with an ongoing national security operation, sabotaging the presidency, putting American lives and our allies' lives in grave danger. You saw the video, Ben, with the El Salvadorian president released the video of the intense planning and security of the handoff of these terrorists from America to El Salvador. And this judge wants to tip off our enemies by alerting them that this operation is ongoing. This judge wants to tell the president he has to turn around planes in midair over the Gulf of America. Is this judge, does he understand if there's fuel in the plane? I've been saying this, Ben, unless this judge is a black trans woman, I don't think he's qualified to be an air traffic controller. So I think he's out over his skis where he thinks he can do this. And so this is so dangerous and over the top what this judge did that the Article 3 project is now calling for his impeachment and removal.
So, yes, let's get to that. How do you check this balance? I think that the Supreme Court obviously should be checking this balance, yet when the USAID question came before the Supreme Court, Amy Coney Barrett and John Roberts are like, yeah, totally. You gotta light this money on fire. President doesn't have any say over how billions of dollars of U.S. capital is spent. So that wasn't a positive result. How do you check this power? Is it actually congressional impeachments?
Yeah, I would say this to the Chief Justice, John Roberts, who I know and who I like. I just have strong disagreements with his judicial philosophy, to the extent you want to call it a judicial philosophy. You have enabled this. You have caused a constitutional crisis by allowing these activist judges to sabotage Article 2 executive powers of the president. President Trump is not stealing legislative power from Congress under Article 1. President Trump is not stealing the Supreme Court's judicial power under Article 3. The president is exercising core Article 2 executive power, like, for example, making sure we're not funding Hamas terrorists to kill Americans. Or, for example, we're not pissing away $2 billion in foreign aid to go research transgender mice in Pakistan or wherever the hell USAID is spending the money. The president is taking care that our laws are faithfully executed. That is his constitutional power. That is his constitutional duty under Article 2. He's also the commander-in-chief. He's protecting Americans. And because the Supreme Court allowed Judge Ali, this self-proclaimed first Muslim Arab judge in D.C., a Canadian citizen, to get away with this 2 weeks ago on some civil procedure technicality. This was a temporary restraining order, not a preliminary injunction, according to Professor Amy Coney Barrett. So it's not immediately appealable. Because they let this judge get away with that technicality, it's not even, look, you're ordering the president to send $2 billion to a rat's nest. It's never coming back. How the hell is that a TRO? It's not temporary. This money's not coming back. But Professor Barrett said it's a TRO because the plaintiffs told her it was a TRO. So she let the money go out the door. The Chief Justice allowed it to go out the door because he's a wimp, right? So you have Professor Barrett and the wimp letting $2 billion go out the door. They thought that they were going to send a message to Judge Ali to calm down, back down. All they've done is embolden these radical Marxist judges, where this Boasberg, Bozo the Clown, thinks he can order the president of the United States in the middle of a national security operation to turn around planes and put American and allies' lives in danger. The House needs to step up now and impeach this judge to send a very powerful message that this judicial sabotage is going to end. The Chief Justice won't do his job. He's the circuit justice for D.C. He controls the D.C. courts. He's also the Chief Justice of the United States. For whatever reason, Chief Justice John Roberts doesn't want to do his job, so Congress needs to do his job for him and get these judicial saboteurs under control.
What's the limiting principle here? Because it seems like a military operation to remove a terrorist to protect the homeland, which is the charge directly given to the president when he's sworn into office, but also written right there in the Constitution as the commander-in-chief. Like, at what point do you not have injunctions against troop movements on the battlefield, Mike?
You don't. And the fact that this Boasberg, who's a smart judge, the fact that he went in on a Saturday and moonlighted as the commander-in-chief and put American and allies' lives in grave danger by just talking about the fact that this was an ongoing operation. He knew it was ongoing because he ordered the president to turn around the damn planes carrying the terrorist. What Boasberg did here was such horrifying judgment. It put American lives and our allied lives in grave danger. We're not dealing with Boasberg's illegal maids in his house, in his mansion, right? We are dealing with Tren de Aragua. We are dealing with MS-13. These are the most vicious, dangerous terrorists on the planet. And Judge Boasberg, Bozo the Clown, thinks he can come in and tell the planes to turn around and everything's going to be okay because his buddies at the ACLU are worried that Tren de Aragua terrorists aren't going to be able to rape and murder and kidnap and torture Americans. Apparently that's a bad thing. Look, I would say this to Judge Boasberg and all these other DC judges. It's amazing to me that you persecuted American citizens for 4 years. 4 years you persecuted them, and yes, persecuted them under the Supreme Court's Fisher ruling for trespassing and taking selfies in the Capitol. And you did nothing. You persecuted them. Yet you have these foreign terrorists who are kidnapping, robbing, raping, and murdering Americans. And you want to go into work on a Saturday and order the president to turn planes around to bring them home. You guys are out of your effing minds.
Yeah, that's such a great point, Mike. It's like they actually view the January 6th political prisoners
as a graver danger.
99.9% of them are patriots who just love this country, who actually thought that they read their First Amendment and was like, wait, redress my government grievances. Well, I mean, the Capitol building actually belongs to the people, right? So I'm going to go redress my government grievances, use my free speech. It's like, it's remarkable. They're putting terrorists ahead of and protecting and coddling terrorists before J6ers. It is a remarkable show of cards. If you're looking at like how they actually view the country.
Yeah, it's 100% lawless. Biden and Boasberg apparently want to put Tren de Aragua, an MS-13 designated foreign terrorist in 4-star hotels, right? And put Trump grandmas in the DC gulag. This is unacceptable. And this is why the Article 3 project not only is calling for Boasberg's impeachment and removal from office. Right now, it's on our website to light up both of your senators in your rep in the House of Representatives. I am also working with Senate leadership staff to draft legislation to bring dramatic, much needed reforms to our federal judiciary, including the DC District Court. If they have all this time to persecute Americans for 4 years for January 6th, all those people are pardoned now. It sounds like they're pretty bored, and they're bored enough where they think they can moonlight as the commander in chief and order the president to return planes. And so it sounds like we need to start making dramatic changes to the DC District Court because they're bored and they're dangerous.
Yeah. So Babylon Bee headline, like judge appoints himself president of the United States, and it's shocking. Like many Babylon Bee headlines, shockingly accurate. At least Boasberg probably signed his own order. I don't think Joe Biden did. Donald Trump making a lot of news this morning about the autopen scandal. We've had legal experts on the show, Mike, saying if you're non-compos matus, you don't get to say that this is a official document. This is why power of attorney exists. You have to prove these things. There's signature forging happening all the time. There's a body of law on this. What territory are we heading into here? Do you think that these pardons are real or will stand up to any type of judicial scrutiny?
So let me just say this. Pardons are very broad. The president has very broad pardon power, and I don't think it's reviewable unless that he didn't pardon them, right? And so politicians use autopens all the time. Former presidents use the autopen. President Trump has used the autopen. Here's the issue. The issue is not the use of the autopen. It's whether they were carrying out the president's will with the autopen. Did the president authorize the person who signed the pardon with the autopen to sign the pardon? If the president authorized someone to use the autopen to sign the pardon, it's not a huge deal. The issue is if the president did not authorize the signature, if they are not carrying out the president's will. If it's the latter, if they are signing behind the president's back against his will, that is those are very serious crimes. You're talking forgery, obstruction of justice, conspiracy, many, many, many very serious federal crimes if you are signing things on behalf of the president behind his back without his knowledge against his will.
So do you think that Hunter Biden signed his own pardon?
Do I think Hunter Biden signed his own pardon? Maybe. I would say this until we figure out this whole pardon scandal. I would say to the House of Representatives, I would say to the Senate, Hunter Biden is pardoned, right? And so he can't claim his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination because he's pardoned. So drag his ass in and make him testify to the biggest scandal in American history, which is the Bidens took over $23 million from our worst enemies. It seems like every Biden was on China, Russia, Kazakhstan, Ukraine's payroll. What services did the Bidens provide for $23+ million? And what did our worst enemies get for $23 million from the Bidens?
Yeah, well, Hunter Biden has fled to Africa. So not sure if he's ever coming home, Mike. I'm not sure we'll be able ever to ask. One final parting gift for you, Mike. Your message to Amy Coney Barrett, you personally helped get her into that seat. Some people have been pretty disappointed. What's your message to her?
Well, let me clarify. I didn't pick her. I was at the Article 3 project, and after President Trump picked her, I helped confirm her. So you can't blame me for picking her. I would say
not
this.
Not blaming you, Mike. I love you, man. But what's going on there?
It's a very good question. And I would say this to both the Chief Justice and Amy Coney Barrett. Are you going to boldly and courageously follow the Constitution, or are you going to cow to the left's mob, right? And because what the left is doing is an existential threat to our country, right? They try to bankrupt Trump. They try to throw him in prison for life for non-crimes. They try to take him off the ballot unconstitutionally. They try to take off his head. Now that the American people have spoken and they've put him back into office, he has a broad electoral mandate to carry out what the American people want him to do, which is to cut waste, fraud, and abuse, to secure our border and get these terrorists the hell out of our country. And you have these Democrat radical district court judges sabotaging the presidency. I know this for a fact, that the DC district court judges, I have this inside knowledge that they are bragging about which one of these Democrat judges are going to go after President Trump and issue a TRO first, right? It's a competition among these Democrat district court judges. And if this continues to happen, if they continue to sabotage the presidency, particularly on foreign aid, particularly as commander in chief, the federal judiciary is going to lose its legitimacy. And when it loses its legitimacy, the federal judiciary loses everything, right? Because is Judge Boasberg going to send his law clerks to like parachute onto the planes and hijack them and turn them around? Because if the president and the executive branch do not carry out illegal orders from these judges, they have no legitimacy. The emperor has no clothes. And once they lose their legitimacy, they lose everything. And so I hope the Chief Justice understands how much is at stake. And I hope Justice Amy Coney Barrett understands that she's not grading law school exams at Notre Dame anymore. This is very serious stuff. We need judgment. We don't need civil procedure law professors.
All right. Well, we hope she's listening. Pretty, you have a majority, but you wouldn't know it on the court. You have a 6-3 majority on the court, Mike. These should be slam dunks.
It seems 5-4 liberals, but it should be 6-3.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Well, the man who's actually fighting to keep it 6-3, the man who's probably going to put Judge Eileen Cannon on that court. You're looking at him right here. That's a prediction, and I just want to be able to like put a pin in it and say that's a prediction, and we'll bring Mike back on the show when it happens. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Davis. Follow him. Nearly 400,000 Americans already do. And then go to the Article 3 Project. Check this out. Article 3 Project, what Mike is talking about right here, accessible for you, and that you can support the #1 conservative judicial review for how our operations happen inside of the swamp. Ladies and gentlemen, Article 3 Project, fighting for you. God bless you, Mike.
Thank you, Ben.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have had a very long weekend, and I'm not sure if you're one for drinking, if you're going to be hungover after St. Patrick's Day. I have no idea. I have an Irish family, but we also have 4 very little kids, and drinking is just a punishment. Man. Hangovers are just punishment. I liked to drink a lot in my younger days, but at this point, it is just painful. So, what do I drink? Blackout coffee. This is me. I am with my Blackout coffee. I'm rolling with Blackout every single morning. If I'm going to have a drink, it's going to be black coffee first thing in the morning. I get up, I make my coffee. It's my first step. I go downstairs, I get a little workout in, right? We built this teeny little gym in our garage, and I start that pot of coffee. It gets me up in the morning and gets me going. Blackout coffee isn't just your average cup of Joe. Every bag of Blackout coffee is roasted with purpose, packed with bold flavor, and fueled with the kind of values that built this country. Grit, determination, and refusal to back down. They just don't make coffee. They make a statement. Ladies and gentlemen, Blackout coffee, brewed and made right here in the great state of Florida. An awesome family company. I know them personally. Go to blackoutcoffee.com/Benny. Use coupon code Benny for 20% off your first order. Taste the coffee that doesn't just wake you up, it fires you up. blackoutcoffee.com/Benny. Let's freaking go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we teased President Trump on Jeffrey Epstein. I wanted to ask Mike about this, but we were short on time, and there were obviously very big stories to get to. I have to hold myself back from asking every single guest about Jeffrey Epstein. But Donald Trump finally spoke about it in person. You know, my stance on this is that the rollout was a nightmare, that the deep state pulled one over on Pam Bondi. I'm angry about that. We like Pam Bondi a lot. We know her. And we also know that some big things are happening in Washington, D.C. We got to do a couple of meetings at the DOJ and a couple of meetings at the event that we were invited to on Friday, and these documents will be released. I will tell you, It's going to be nuts. I heard some inside information. And I don't want to get ahead of myself, and I don't want to get ahead of the president. So let's listen to President Trump get asked about the Epstein documents and the JFK files first.
A lot of intrigue surrounding the release of the Epstein files, Martin Luther King files, John F. Kennedy files. Some current and former FBI agents are saying, some of them telling me, that they feel the FBI establishment came out ahead in the standoff sort of with the New York FBI field office over releasing the records, and your Attorney General Pam Bondi demanding them but not getting all that she wanted. Is that process still on track? I think that's one of the most often questions I've been asked the last couple of days, to release these records on Epstein, MLK, and JFK.
Well, Pam Bondi's done a phenomenal job in every respect. And there could have been some holdback. I haven't heard too much about it, but they could. But the bottom line is the records are getting out. The Kennedy records are getting out. Those are the ones I really wanted to see the most, were the Kennedys. And during my administration, as you know, I released a lot of them, but then a lot of people started coming in, people that I respected, people that worked for the administration, asked me not to release the rest. And I respected that. They gave me certain reasons, but I respected that. And I did say, I must tell you, I said that probably wish I did release the whole thing, because I have no idea what's in there. But since then they found, and we found 2,000 more documents on Kennedy. And the one they want most is Kennedy, and it's going to be released. It's moving along, and it's moving along pretty rapidly. It doesn't go that rapidly.
Weeks maybe, or longer?
I say weeks. Yeah, I say weeks.
I'm getting you a Judge Napolitano video right now. That is the creepiest video I've seen about how the internal operations are working in the federal government stopping the release of these documents. We've done hours and hours and hours on Epstein. We were disappointed, along with you, in the release of a binder that was filled with already released information that was 10 years old, but they had actually redacted the 10-year-old declassified information as an extra insult to us for asking. We've showed you the photos of Jeffrey Epstein's apartment, his safe, his bag of passports. Where were they from? The FBI saying, he works for us, let him go. And they did let him go. The FBI photographs and video of them walking out with boxes and boxes of evidence from Jeffrey Epstein's island, but also from his townhouse in Manhattan, $50 million townhouse in Manhattan, and then his ranch in New Mexico. They have so much Epstein information, we haven't even seen 1% of it. And we know that directly from the highest possible sources. Trust me when I say this, that we spoke with unimpeachable sources, the DOJ and within the FBI. And they are actively going through a literal truckload of Jeffrey Epstein evidence, photographs, documents. I didn't hear videos. I'm not going to sizzle things out there without having the absolute facts, because I don't want to, again, get ahead of the release of this information. But they have it. And it is getting released. And I want to caution everybody in the audience that this information has been in the hands of people like Cindy McCain. I don't know if we have that clip handy. Cindy McCain saying, yeah, we all knew about Epstein. We all knew what he was doing. We were all aware of this. It's been in their hands for nigh on 20 years. There's been decades of this going on. And at what point do we have to take a step back and accept the reality that, and I don't know this for a fact, okay? I'm not saying it for a fact. I'm just trying to be logical here. Accept the reality that the people who were willing to protect Jeffrey Epstein and the child pederast operation that they were obviously running and funding with intel agencies, both foreign and domestic, the same people that would create and release a COVID virus and lie about it. That's like one. Dr. Fauci is definitely the biggest mass murderer of the last 100 years. That's the story. Those same people have been in charge of the Epstein documents and they're not going to get rid of the worst stuff? I don't know. But I'm just trying to preview this, right? And like just establish that there are really dark forces at play here. Just really quickly, here's like a 10-second clip of Cindy McCain. She was married to the most powerful Republican in the country for quite a period of time. John McCain ran for president, was the most well-known Republican for a very long time in the country before Donald Trump came through and destroyed his dynasty, just like everybody else. And his legacy gone and totally in tatters. But nonetheless, here she is. This lady's married to one of the most powerful men on earth. That's just reality. That's who John McCain was, whether you like it or not. And she's saying we could do nothing about it because Jeffrey Epstein was protected and we were all scared. What does that say? Here we go.
He hides in plain sight. Epstein was hiding in plain sight. We all knew about him. We all knew what he was doing. But we had no one that was, legal aspect that would go after him. They were afraid of him. For whatever reason, they were afraid of him.
We all knew. We all knew what he was doing. We all knew he was underage sex trafficking. We all knew. She says it. She admits it. We knew. We're powerful people. We knew about this kind of stuff. We were aware of it. I'm not alluding to John McCain being in any. I've seen no evidence that John McCain was involved in this, but he certainly was allowing it to happen. So these people are capable of doing very evil things. Matt Gaetz told this program that Bill Barr allowed a foreign government to go kill Epstein in his cell. What operation are we really talking about here? And how much are these people willing to protect that op? Because if we knew the truth, it would, like the entire House of Cards falls. It's destroyed. This is why President Trump went hard at the Kennedy documents. Now, it's amazing. Bill Barr got rid of the Epstein problem, and Mike Pompeo got rid of the Kennedy documents problem. That's that clip there of Donald Trump saying, you're going to get everything, hold on, it'll just be a matter of weeks. That clip is anchored by Donald Trump trying to release the Kennedy documents in his first administration. He was stopped by Mike Pompeo of the CIA, saying it'd be too damaging for the CIA. Why is it damaging to the CIA? What would happen? We only have one small sliver of an insight into what was in those documents from a dude named Judge Napolitano, who said that he spoke with Donald Trump in the last days of term one. And what he heard sent a chill down his spine about what's truly in those documents. Here we go.
In my last conversation with President Trump in the White House, he called me a lot. And this is after January 6th, so it's 2 weeks before, or a week before he's leaving office. He wanted to run past me the names of people he was going to pardon and sentences he was going to commute. He wanted my opinion on them. Some of them I knew. I said, how you doing? He said, not too well. And he went off into a tangent about what he thought happened with the election. I said, you made a promise to the public many times and to me privately that you haven't kept. What? I'll take care of it right now. I said, you promised you would release the records of the JFK assassination. He said to me, Judge, if they showed you what they showed me, you wouldn't have released it either. And I said, who's they and what did they show you? And then he said, Judge, someday when we're on the phone, and then he raised his voice, and there aren't 15 people listening to the phone call, back to a normal voice, I'll tell you.
Oh, my God.
I mean, this makes it sound even worse. Who are they? Probably somebody in the intelligence community. What did they show him? JFK's brains blown out?
This is it. It was said by one person that after the Kennedy assassination, there has been no president. They have only been factotums of the system since then.
Yeah.
It may well be the most decisive event in modern American history.
Right.
If you're powerful enough to kill the president, then you're more powerful than the president. It's kind of the theme of the show here, right? With these judges, the fake signatures. Obviously, the fake someone was running the fake signature operation for Joe Biden. It wasn't Joe Biden. So what kind of a fake country? What country do we live in? It's a ghost world. It's not real. We haven't had a real country in a very long time. Donald Trump might be the first real president of our lifetimes. It's all been fake. This is what Tucker's source said inside of the CIA when he was asking about the Kennedy assassination. It's not the country you think it is. It's fake. It's not real. We did have a hand, Tucker's reporting says, of the CIA in the Kennedy assassination. Well, then what does that determine? It points directly to an organization that sits atop the federal government, atop of the elected government, that lives forever. You can call it the deep state. You can call it the theory of continuity of government, which is what Bill Barr's father called it as a founding member of the CIA. Call it whatever you want, but these are the people that believe that they have the power of life or death over our leaders if they don't like our leaders. And what happens next? Donald Trump gets shot in the head. I mean, at what point do we get those documents, right? It's a wild world, and it's amazing how the demons are getting called out and are being dragged out, and how scared they're getting. These actions obviously are not actions of people who are winning. You don't order planes full of terrorists to come back to America if you're winning. Tom Homan winning at the White House just moments ago. This was from the White House lawn just a few seconds ago. Tom Homan responding to the Aliens Deportation Act, Alien Enemies Act of 1798, in his very Tom Homan way. Here we go.
To those who claim you're using a 200-year-old law to circumvent due process.
An old law? Not as old as the Constitution. We still pay attention to that, don't we?
But some would say this is...
How many more terrorists do you plan on deporting to El Salvador?
It's perfect. Okay. All right. Here's Donald Trump on the Alien Enemies Act saying it's a war against our country. It's an invasion of our country, and we're going to stop it.
Criticism that the Alien Enemies Act has only been invoked 3 other times. They were all during times of war. Do you feel that you're using it appropriately right now?
Well, this is a time of war because Biden allowed millions of people, many of them criminals, many of them at the highest level. They emptied jails out. Other nations emptied their jails into the United States. That's an invasion. And these are criminals, many, many criminals, murderers, drug dealers at the highest level, drug lords, people from mental institutions. That's an invasion. They invaded our country. So this isn't, in that sense, this is war.
You got to take a step back and recognize where we came from. It's so nice to just see Donald Trump speaking his mind. We didn't have that for 4 years. You might disagree with some things Trump says. You might not like the cut of his jib. At least you know what he believes. At least he's being honest with you. And for that, it's really refreshing. Tom Homan on this judge that stopped the criminal alien deportation flights, saying they're out of their right mind.
I mean, who in their right mind, whether you're a judge or not, wants known public... TDA, a recognized terrorist organization, sent here by the Maduro regime to create havoc, to unsettle the United States through the use of fentanyl to kill thousands of Americans, violence to American citizens, raping and murdering young women in this country. They are enemies of this country, and President Trump treated them as enemies, and we did exactly what we should have done. Again, President Trump is going to make this country safe again. He's going to do it one illegal alien at a time, and this weekend, we did 261.
Can we please, we talked about the COVID ticker. Can we please get a deportation ticker? Can somebody get that done? Can we please get a deportation ticker? Is that available? Number of deportations. Chrissy Noem told us that she wants 1 million deportations in the first year. An ICE agent in New York told us they know where 7 million criminal aliens are currently living. They know they have their driver's license, they have their homes, they have their domiciles that they know. They know. So what happens next? Do we actually have a deportation tracker? Okay, well, nice way. We found something. Okay, here's we'll call DHS. We have friends there. We'll call them and see. Okay, so this is an update live, and what does it show? Does it show like where the deportations are coming from? Okay, so you can see there in the American South East and center of the country. So it's updating right now. Okay, live updates for how many deportations there are. You're gonna have to zoom in, Klein. We're gonna have to like see. Okay, so this is the area of arrests. This is where they're from. This is the arrest by country of citizenship. And then what's arrests over time, right? Scroll over to that one. Okay. All right. We will get this asset loaded. Okay, so this is arrest over time. I'm looking at the top quadrant there, the bar graph, please. Thank you. Okay. We'll look into this data and we'll try our very hardest to get you a deportation tracker. That would be very fun to build on this program. We are increasing our resources on the show. We'll get a official deportation tracker, and we got you. We are unfortunately, Lauren Boebert might have been on one of the deportation flights. Sadly, she's on an aircraft right now. She's supposed to be landed, but her plane was wildly delayed. So Congresswoman Lauren Boebert will have to join the show later in the week. We are already working on rebooking her. Somebody who was on the show last week, Chairman Jim Jordan, who would have a lot to say over whether this judge stays on the bench. Sounding off. Let's talk deportation of the judge. Here we go.
Are these flights now on their way back to America with all of these Venezuelan gangs?
Yeah. Yeah, that's my understanding. This judge says, don't send the hardened criminals back to where they belong. Bring them back to the country so I can evaluate them. And again, this is the same judge, by the way, Maria, who a few years ago, when there was information taken to the FISA court that was false, the guy who falsified that information, this lawyer, Kevin Kleinsmith, basically, Judge Boasberg gave him a slap on the wrist. So this is that same judge. Don't let the hardened criminals leave, even though the head of the executive branch, Article 2, Section 1, says executive power shall be vested in a president of the United States. This is his prerogative. He followed the law. He did this. This judge says, no, no, no. Bring the hardened criminals back. Bring the gang members back. And we're going to have a hearing on it. I think it's set for next Friday. So, yeah, this is kind of ridiculous. But frankly, we probably should have suspected this from a judge who did what he did with Kevin Kleinsmith and that whole FISA court stuff back during the fake Trump-Russia collusion baloney.
So, impeach, right? Like you have to. There's been a spate of swattings. You have to make examples of people. I don't know if you've been following this. Kash Patel released a statement on it after our show on Friday as we were heading up to D.C. And Kash Patel said, listen, we are sending FBI agents out to hunt down who's swatting conservatives. And this has been happening a lot. There are at least dozens of conservative influencers who've been swatted, which is what happens when the police force gets in a local municipality, gets a fake call about some type of murder or hostage situation inside of the house of one of these conservative influencers. The police show up in full SWAT gear, hoping for some type of chaos to ensue and someone gets killed. The goal of this is obviously to kill the occupants of the house. It is terrorism by every conceivable definition. Kash Patel saying, I'm addressing the alarming rise in swatting incidents targeting media figures. The FBI is aware of the dangerous trend, and my team and I are already taking actions to investigate and hold those responsible accountable. This isn't about politics. This is weaponizing law enforcement against any Americans is not only morally reprehensible, but also endangers lives. In one single post, Kash Patel does more to restore faith in federal law enforcement than anything that has been done in my lifetime. What Kash Patel is saying here is that, yes, your lives matter. Yes, your lives matter. We went to Black Lives Matter. Do we have that? Do we have our, let's make sure that we get that. Ladies and gentlemen, we went to Black Lives Matter, Plaza, what's left of it. And we asked people on the street what they thought about the BLM organization That, of course, was a front for a terrorist group, communist Marxist terrorist group that embezzled all the money and bought themselves mansions, lavished their family members with fat contracts. Ooh, baby. It was not, it was really fun. We asked black Americans predominantly about this, since the group was intended to help them. We'll play you, we'll play you this. Why not? We'll play this for you in just a minute. But nonetheless, this is Kash Patel responding to what's actually happening to just Americans. Who the F cares what their politics is? Like, I don't care. If this were happening at scale to left-wing journalists, know that there would be such screeching, such terror, such horrors untold from our corporate press. They would be raging from the rooftops if libs were having the police sent into their house to try and kill them. This is a particular bee in my bonnet, thorn in my paw, because it's happened to my family. It's happened to my family a lot. It's really unnerving, and it's really frustrating, because law enforcement can only do so much, and they have to respond to these calls. So it's happening all across the board. Kash Patel responding to it proves that they're actually listening to the needs of Americans. Now, we know people like Nick Sotor, who you may recall has been on the show a lot. His family got a visit from the FBI. We were up sitting next to Kash Patel at DOJ, and Kash goes, this morning, I sent my SCC, CCE guys, like I don't know what the acronyms stand for, right? But he says, I sent them out to solve this crime, and we'll solve it. You have like an actual federal government that's responsive to the American people. It's such a wonderful thing to see. And more importantly, this is obviously going to improve President Trump's approval rating, which is at its highest ever. Trump ties highest ever approval rating he's ever had, as more Americans say U.S. is on the right track than at any time in the last 20 years. Donald Trump's approval ratings are through the roof. 3 months into his second term, President Trump has hit the highest approval rating he's ever had as commander-in-chief, while the majority of Americans say the country is on the right track than at any point since 2004. This is good news, according to NBC News, released on Sunday. The bad news is that Trump still has not won over the majority of Americans. Well, that depends on your poll. We should do a polling show tomorrow. We should bring on Mark from Rasmussen. Let's talk these actual numbers. Even so, the survey found that voters generally feel like Trump is bringing the right kind of change and energy to the key issues, like on tariffs. That's despite the stock market sell-off. There's always going to be ups and downs. Who cares? On many of the other key issues, voters felt the same way. Trump's actions, and I don't mean who cares, because I know that I'm not trying to be dismissive here. The economy was fake. It was as fake as Joe Biden's auto signature pen. The economy was fake, propped up entirely by fake Fed numbers about jobs, about job openings, about job creations. Go check. You should go check, because we have the documentation here. Every single jobs report in the last 24 months has been revised down. Every single one of them. Revised down. Some of them by a quarter. They lied. They propped up a fake economy. What's happening now is a reset of reality, and you got to work the demons out of the system. So there's going to be, as we reset to the real economy, not the recession economy of Joe Biden, 2 straight quarters of negative GDP is a recession, and that's what happened with Joe Biden. As we reset that, there's going to be some ups and downs, okay? That's all I'm trying to say. On many other key issues, voters felt the same way. Trump's actions on the border being the most popular. Wow. Government cuts also very, very good. Even his handling of the Ukraine war and NATO had great responses from respondents. 41% approve of the actions. Boy, look at that photo. These are the guys that we got out of our country currently in El Salvador. I love this, by the way, because what it is a giant advertisement to not come here illegally. Nobody wants to go to the terrorism confinement center in El Salvador. Nobody wants to go to this location. And oh, by the way, these individuals are not El Salvadorian. They're from all over the world. So a very, very important, time, and also an important moment to acknowledge something that was crazy that happened this past weekend. I know we talked a little bit about it. President Trump got hit in the face with a mic. I want to just establish on this show, and let's grab the clip and pop it up, how dangerous this is. I'm sure you saw the clip. Yo, there needs to be some different protocols here. A far left-wing NPR journalist, actual activist, just a literal pink hair activist, smashed Donald Trump in the face with a microphone. This happened late in the evening, about 6 p.m. on Friday night. And so we didn't get a chance to cover it live on the show. And I just want to establish that we are publicly calling for, we've done so many Trump assassination shows and so many Trump getting threatened shows, and we now know that there have been at least 5 assassination attempts. If you count the mysterious drone that had to be shot out of the sky in Pennsylvania. Didn't hear about that one? Haven't heard anything from Matthew Thomas Crooks' parents. Still don't know who he's on the phone with. Dude, why does Donald Trump get hit in the face with a mic? How is this allowed? So this was an NPR reporter. You can just play it on the side here. There's an NPR reporter. We now know she's a vicious Trump hater, and she smashes Trump in the face with a microphone. Since we're talking about deporting terrorists and threats to our country, can we please talk about this threat? Trump handled it like an absolute G. He made a quip, He was like, yo, you're going to be famous tonight. Far left NPR journalist Danielle Kutzleben revealed as the woman who hit President Trump in the face with a moon mic. I want to establish something here. Trump is the single most sought after target on earth. You could put some type of pathogen. Man, why don't we tie the whole show up into one nice little bundle here? You could put the new COVID on there. You could put some new pathogen that's been created. The mic is heavy. It could be used as a spear. You can see it right there in the red circle. I'm not sure if we can zoom in on that. But you could really harm Donald Trump. Major contagion point, the mouth. If you had some sort of pathogen or some sort of virus. How about anthrax? How about a dose of fentanyl? So you're able to just smash Trump in the face with a microphone and nothing happens? There should absolutely be Secret Service standing in front of the press there. We were at a speech for Donald Trump, and we were in the same room as Trump for approximately 90 minutes. Boy, let me tell you, they have cranked his Secret Service up to 11. Obviously, it was great. We were sitting there right in the front row. But, when Trump took the stage, there were dangerous and scary looking agents that just phalanxed him, right? Flanked every conceivable access point to the president. This is how it always is, right? It's Trump speaking inside of the DOJ. And it's far more tight, even more scary than that when Trump's in an arena or something like that, where there's the DOJ audience was pretty small and is pretty tight knit, right, to people that were just invited. So there were major, security points there. It's an invite only event. There's only room for about 100 people at that speech. But nonetheless, they've really locked down under Sean Curran, Donald Trump's security. What's going on here? I would argue, not that I'm any expert, there should be tests of all this equipment. There should absolutely be major tests done on biologics, on that microphone. That microphone could have something very sharp in it. I mean, you could really harm Donald Trump, and you saw it there. Do we have the full clip? We hear what Donald Trump says to her afterwards. Here, listen how Trump handled it.
Mr. President, walk us through the Plaza, Mr. President. Obviously, you're concerned.
Ow.
You're concerned about the situation in Gaza. What are the hopes now to get the hostages back?
She just became a big story tonight, right?
Yes, sir.
Did you see that? What?
And it goes right back to the questioning. I mean, Donald Trump being an absolute G there. The absolute peak of professionalism. But not only should this woman be criminally investigated for hitting the president in the face with a microphone, she should be stripped of her credential immediately and be banned. And then I believe that the Secret Service should create protections for the president there. I'm no security expert, but I think that that's due. I think that this is a important and scary moment in time, and far left-wing, psychotic. Look at this. Look at her. You don't have to play the clip, but like she's literally a pink hair. She's literally a psychotic pink-haired lib who is totally woke, is a Trump hater. Right here, this clip, Klein, please. And who is an activist. She wrote entire pieces about how President Trump loves the KKK and lost the debate and how great Kamala is. How are you allowed to hold a giant spear in front of Trump's head? I'll get off my high horse here, but this image shocked me. Yes, Trump handled it like a total pro. He was awesome. Way to go, Trump. But this should have never been allowed to happen. We searched it. No president's ever been hit in the face with a microphone. We have had a fake moment, though. You just allow me one more thing. Gotta grab me. Where's that moment where Joe Biden had the microphone disappear in front of him? It was like clearly a green screen. You gotta get me. Please get me that. Where Joe Biden goes walking up to the press, and it's like an obvious green screen because the mics all start disappearing, as though like they're not actually there, although none of it's real. Talk about having a fake presidency. You're gonna give me a perfect opportunity to talk about this. Okay, the team's yelling at me because I'm asking for too much. Oh, by the way, production team's already started on the deportation tracker. We will be building a deportation tracker at this show. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is again a moment where President Trump is as popular as he's ever been. So this is something that we must protect. And clearly there is there it is. Oh, yes. Yes. Clearly something that's a problem. Here's CNN gasping about this. Americans' favorability of Donald Trump, highest it's ever been. Americans' favorability of the Democrat Party, lowest it's ever been recorded. We are winning. Protect Donald Trump. Let's go.
Good morning. Welcome Inside Politics Sunday. I'm Manu Raju. First up this morning, a brand new exclusive CNN poll that paints a brutal reality for Democrats as they struggle to mount a unified opposition to President Trump. Americans' favorable views of the Democratic Party's brand are at a record low, just 29%. That's compared to 36% for Republicans. It is the lowest ever recorded for Democrats in CNN polling going back more than 30 years. As you can see, the party's numbers dropping a staggering 20 points in just 4 years. The CNN SRSR's poll also found 57% of Democrats and Democratic-leaning voters are more interested in seeing their party leaders stop the GOP agenda, compared to 42% who are more interested in cutting bipartisan deals. It is a big shift from where the party stood at the start of Trump's first term in 2017. Now, this survey was taken before this week's tumultuous battle over funding the government, which resulted in one of the ugliest intra-party Democratic disputes in years, and left many in the party lobbying furious attacks at Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer, who ultimately reversed course and let a GOP bill funding the government become law in order to avert a shutdown. Now a bitter round of finger-pointing is taking shape after Democrats failed to get a single concession from the GOP, despite having their first piece of leverage to fight back against Trump. Now the big question, where does a party in deepening turmoil and in open warfare go from here?
Brutal. You can see Manu Raju is the reporter there holding back tears, and it also happened on NBC News. But before we get there, you have to see this clip of Joe Biden with the disappearing microphone. At least we know Donald Trump is real because he gets hit in the face with the microphone. Here's Joe Biden. Watch the gray microphone here. This is my favorite. This is my favorite conspiracy theory.
Not at the moment. Have you decided when you're able to share thoughts with others?
Look at how Joe Biden, like, look at the hand. What the hell is that? What is that? So he reaches through the microphone So he's just through and around the microphone. This is great. It's my absolute all-time favorite. It's my absolute all-time favorite conspiracy theory. This is it's just perfection. There you go. Joe Biden. Okay. At least we know Donald Trump is real. NBC News crying on camera saying, I can't believe it. Donald Trump's more popular than he's ever been.
The mood of the country, this really jumped out. We asked folks, is it on the right direction or the wrong direction? That 44% you say right direction, that's up since November. And if that doesn't seem like a lot, the last time it cracked 40%, you got to go back to 2012. The last time it actually hit 44 or higher, January of 2004. So a lot of this is Republicans, but independents, that number is also up since the election on the direction of the country. Also, just Trump and his base, we monitor this. Among Republicans, look at this, basically 3 out of 4 Republicans say it's a very positive view they have of Trump, not just positive. Again, at this point in his first term, it was only 50. It's just the strengthening of that base, the tightness they feel in terms of their connection with him. And then there's the Trump agenda. There are some popular elements of it here. Handling of border security and the immigration issue. 55% approval. That goes beyond his base. You see right there. You hear about Doge there in the setup. And broadly speaking, the people do think this is a popular idea here. A good idea, 46%. Bad idea, 40. Look at it this way. When you ask folks, what should Doge be doing going forward? A third say much more. 28% say Doge is needed, just needs to slow the pace down. But that's 61% total who seem to say that Doge is basically a good thing, a necessary thing right now.
President Trump more popular than he's ever been. Protect Donald Trump. Don't let people smash him in the face with a microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, we did put a phone in the face of somebody who deserves extra protection. General Flynn sat next to us at this DOJ event. We freaking love General Flynn. This is our first time meeting him. So we got an opportunity to do a miniature interview with him at the Department of Justice, which he called the Department of Just Us. Had to play it for you. Here we go.
We're at the Department of Justice with General Flynn.
Can you believe it? Talk about the Department of Just Us.
Yeah, you know, a couple of years ago, it'd be like us in handcuffs if we had to go into the DOJ.
They tried to bring me into this place in handcuffs. And they lost. They lost that battle. And here we are. This is a great day, a historic day. President Trump is here at the Department of Justice. I think it's the first time a president's been in this hall in my lifetime. So he's here with Pam Bondi. She's doing great. A lot of good things going on. We just got a briefing from Kash Patel and the Deputy Attorney General. Amazing work these people are doing in just a month and a half.
It's got to mean so much to you, General, based on what you've gone through. Just really quickly, tell people.
Yeah, I mean, everything that I've gone through, and when I look at the country and the risks that we are facing as a nation, you know, the weaponization of everything, of the justice system, of the intelligence community, the lack of trust between the American people and the institutions that are supposed to protect us and save us, you know, that's shot. It's coming back. It's coming back. And I'm going to tell you, I wish, and I think that they did capture some of what Kash just said, what he just presented this audience. Amazing, the kind of work that these guys are doing to bring justice back to this country and to stop the weaponization, but also to go after those people that did weaponize it. And that's my warning, because that's why I'm here.
Yeah, revenge? The revenge tour. The General Flynn revenge.
Don't miss the moment. They tried to bring him in to that building in handcuffs. General Flynn standing there in the building that they tried to kill him in. They wanted to put him in jail forever. They plotted to destroy that man's life in that very building. And amazing how God works. What God has been able to do in this country. What man intends for evil, God intends for good. Man, we say it a lot. We were interviewing with our phone there, right? Can't bring any cameras in. Our phone, a Patriot Mobile device that allowed us to get that crispy interview of General Flynn. Patriot Mobile, our partners when we go on the road and when we're bringing you news and information. Make sure that you're signed up right now. Patriot Mobile is the most dependable cell phone service, but also a Christian conservative company. There is no other that is providing talk and freedom for you to be able to say what you believe and to support what you believe with every single call or text that you make. So, ladies and gentlemen, please support Patriot Mobile, First and Second Amendment, sanctity of life, our veterans, first responders. Switching is easy. Keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade. Their 100% U.S.-based customer service can help you out. Go to patriotmobile.com/Benny or call 972-PATRIOT for a free month of service with the promo code Benny. Switch to Patriot Mobile today and defend freedom with every single call or text you make. patriotmobile.com/Benny. Okay, so we have a little treat for you here at the very end of the show. And then we're going to cover live. We're going to cover live the press conference, but we're going to start a new stream because you never know. Sometimes those press conferences are an hour late, and so you just never know. So, ladies and gentlemen, this was what we filmed on Friday. We made a big show of getting the heck out of the studio, getting up to DC. We promised you special content. Here it is. We went to Black Lives Matter Plaza, and we asked black people what Black Lives Matter has ever done for them. Here we go. What has Black Lives Matter done for you?
That's a strong question for you to ask. Especially me. What Yachty say? All they did was buy mansions.
Little Yachty is a rapper, and he's out saying like they bought a bunch of mansions.
BLM was literally a scam. They had bought mansions and...
No, that's definitely a scam, 100%.
Yeah. Black Lives Matter raised $100 million. They ever do anything for you?
I don't know.
They're tearing up Black Lives Matter Plaza. Does that matter to you?
No, honestly. No. Democrats, they're nothing but corrupt. They are traitors to this country. Investigate them, send them all to prison.
That matter anything to you?
Yeah, anything you can get back with the niggas, get them back.
Did Black Lives Matter ever do anything for you? They raised $100 million.
It wasn't for me, it was for them.
Do you think that after the BLM movement, life got any better for black people?
No.
7 mansions is not the best use of $100 million.
Do you see any of that money?
No.
Did they ever reach out to you and say, hey, you're a veteran, we can help you?
Never.
They raised $100 million. Did you see any of that?
Do we ever see any of it?
I ain't see shit of it.
The $100 million has not benefited the black community.
Nothing.
I have not seen one cause or one organization that has come from the donations that has directly benefited black America.
What's your message to them?
I would say, hey, you owe me. Cut me my check or run me my money.
Actually, I'm kind of sick of the quote, to be honest with you, because all lives matter. So you have a good day.
We're asking what Black Lives Matter did for you today.
No, they didn't do shit. I don't like them.
They
send
raised
them to hell. Send them to hell. Send them to hell. Send them all to hell.
Oh, look at my African American over here. Look at him.
Okay. We also have something very fun for you. All right, here we go. And the show, just to show you guys that we out you in these streets. Here is a, it's actually quite heavy. Here's a massive piece of Black Lives Matter, a physical piece of the destroyed Black Lives Matter Plaza. There it is. We have it right here. We're going to mount it in the studio. Would you like a piece? A conquered ideology? A piece of history? When Marxism falls? A piece of the Berlin Wall? Or a piece of BLM Plaza? It's the same thing. It's all repackaged Marxism. So, ladies and gentlemen, join us for history in the making, we often say. Front row seat to the golden era. This is exactly what we are and exactly where you should find yourself every single morning for the incredible insights of our guests, but also for a lot of fun and entertainment. We have a great time doing the program. Please, ladies and gentlemen, know that no matter what program we do, we will always bring you a verse of the day to ensure that you have some truth in your day. And so let's go to the Old Testament. Jude, you must show mercy to those whose faith is wavering. There's a lot of the country that is looking at their, let me get it. Hold on. Looking at their desecrated temples, right? Their secular pagan religion, and they're saying, that's not for me. That's not real. It's not real if you just destroy it. It's not real if you can just defund USAID, right? And the entire building just collapses. It's not real. It's fake. We've been lied to. And so this is an opportunity to show Christ to be Christ, to be the light in this world, is a world that has always been mired in darkness. And so light shines even brighter, ladies and gentlemen, when it is dark. Let's be that light today. Ensure that everybody can see you. Wear your MAGA hats proudly in the street and walk in faith and in confidence in our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Benny. This is The Benny Show. We'll see ya. We're going to be doing the press conference live soon from the White House. We'll see when that starts. March with us on to victory. See ya.
Going back to Haiti.
Yes, you are.
Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade. Cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade. Cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light.